And I am so delighted, honored completely to welcome the wonderful Heather Bertrand, the thyroid coach.
Yes.
Welcome. Woo!
Thank you. Liz, you have so much energy. I love it.
Woo! Yeah, so welcome. And you too. I love your energy. It's so bright and smiley, like a little ray of sunshine.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're so welcome. Okay, so first question. What does self-care mean to you?
Oh, wow. Self-care can mean any number of things, right? So self-care just means prioritizing yourself. And so depending on the season of life, that could look differently. So it could be making sure that you get enough rest. It could be making sure that you eat on time. It could be making sure that you get to the gym or go for a walk or, sit in the sun. So it's just putting things first that make you feel good, and that make you operate the best way that you can, in the world every day. Yeah.
I love that. And so for you, over your self-care journey, how has self-care changed for you?
Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting because, when I first started in business, I was trying to name my company, and I was like Simple Steps Wellness and all these different things. And it was almost like the Holy Spirit whispered into me, a well-loved body. And I couldn't accept it initially because I was like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. But self-care is how we get well. Um, so when I first started, it was just I needed to eat better, right? I wasn't eating like I ate healthy, you know, but I wasn't eating the foods that were healthy for me, and carrying my family along. So self-care initially for me was just eating better. Um, I also wasn't exercising a whole lot. So self-care for me looked like I needed to move more. I needed to exercise more. So I picked up walking. I'd take my kids to the playground, and there's a tennis court nearby, and I just walk around that track while while they played on the whatever slides or whatever. And I would lift weights, when I'm watching TV or whatever. So self-care for me, that's where it started. But I also started to realize that I wasn't doing very much with sleeping. I didn't sleep because my husband's a night owl, so he stay up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted to be with him, so I'd stay up too, even though I'd fall asleep on the couch, trying to be up. But I had to prioritize just going to bed because I just was not functioning well the next day. I don't sleep well. Then the next morning, I want all the things that are bad for me, the sugar, whatever. I'm irritable. I'm snapping at my kids and everyone else, making poor decisions because I hadn't prioritized my self-care. So going to bed on time, was something that I had to do. And so now, for me, I'm less focused on my food because it became an obsession, right? It was like, I can't eat this and I can't eat that and I can't, whatever. So it was just terrible. So I'm less focused on my food, and now I'm more focused on things like, um, again, still with the rest, still with the exercise, but also little things like now I use handmade bath soaps, right? Things that make me feel good. I spend time in the morning, deliberately, taking a bath and applying makeup, or just doing having a skincare routine. I do things like, um facials, and I put nails, do my nails, the girls do my nails, and give myself, pedicures. I take baths and sit in the hot tub for, ages. I go to the sauna, things like that I wasn't ready for, 2 years ago, but now I do. These are just things that make me feel good, but they also help me to detoxify my body, right? So that's a part of self-care. I do things like NLP, apparently, to help me focus on what is true and right in my life. So That's how self-care has changed. In the beginning, you just do what's immediately in front of you, and it just make the next best decision. And I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I mean, there's so much more out there. I wanted to try cryotherapy, and there's so much more that a person can do, in a self-care. So that's just how it's changed, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah, and there's such a wealth, like a huge abundance of self-care that we can do. It's
Yeah,
really exciting times.
yeah, yeah.
So thinking back to your very first experience of self-care, what's your first self-care memory that you can share with us?
Hmm. It's funny because after I did my whole spiel just now, I realized I didn't mention that my biggest form of self-care, I think, is finding time to be alone, and doing the things that feed my soul. So I'm a reader. I don't know if you could tell with all the books that are behind me. A small percentage of books that I have in my house. Every room looks like this, by the way. My husband, poor guy. Um, so I realized that for me, one of the early,
Oh, you've muted. Don't worry.
I'm telling you, that's probably my mom calling, right? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I used to do from early on is just stealing away, with a book. And I remember, reading like the Nancy Drew series and the Bob's Twins, and I've always loved detective, things. And and to this day, when my world is upside down, um, it gives me peace. Just finding 10, 15 minutes, going in a corner somewhere and just reading a book. It doesn't have to be fiction, but anything. I just love to read, and so that's my earliest memory, and it still brings me a lot of peace. And um, writing, helps to rid the brain of some of the stuff, the anxiety, the worries. And it's not necessarily, like, sometimes it's not journaling, I'm not venting, I'm not talking to the Lord, I'm just writing. So even the act of creating a piece of poetry, or writing a short story, it's just liberating. It just lightens me up. And that's one of the things I've done for a long time now. Yeah.
I love that. It's beautiful. And yeah, I think it's very cathartic, isn't it? Just writing, just
Yeah.
getting everything out, just releasing.
Yeah, just get it out. Get it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So thinking about yourself and your own self-care, how do you celebrate yourself?
Mm, let me tell you, this is hard, right? Um, I didn't celebrate myself until recently. Accomplishments are just things that you just do, right? I grew up in a household where it's like you came home with an A, and it's like, well, why not an A plus, right? And so it's just something that you do. So I have found, I remember about a year ago, I'd had a business coach. And when I sold my first, high ticket package, she said, okay, well, how are you going to celebrate? You have to buy something from that money to remind you of this first sale. And I was like, that's just crazy. Like, why would I do something like that? Why would I? Um, and it took me ages to figure out what to buy, because I don't just do stuff for myself, like, who does that? Took me forever to figure it out. And eventually I settled on a jigsaw puzzle because I love jigsaws. But I did a jigsaw puzzle it was a 3D puzzle of the Eiffel Tower. And so, yeah, so that was my first, foray into celebrating myself. And so now I celebrate little things. Like if I have a to-do list and I've done three things, or if I've done one of the three things that I have listed is a cause for a cup of tea, or it's a cause for, extra time reading, or whatever it is. So my rewards change depending on what it is. Um, I recently launched a detox, and I didn't sell out like I wanted to, but I sold it. And every time I make an offer, I feel like, well, no one's going to buy this, or why should somebody buy this, or whatever. And someone bought it. Several someone's bought the detox. And so I rewarded myself. I celebrated by buying a rocket.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, it's my mom. It's got to be my mom. I'm telling you, it's got to be my mom. So I celebrated by buying a rocket book, which I've wanted for such a long time. So it's not, terribly expensive or whatever. It's just, the little things. And when I touch them, it just reminds me of why I have it. Well, this is what happened then. Just a marker in the sand, of around, well, this is what you've accomplished, this is how far you've come. So I'm looking forward to more ways to celebrate, just simple things, and that builds gratitude, right? So rather than, because I'm really good at looking at what I haven't done or how far I haven't gone, so rather than doing that, I look at, oh well, yay, I did this thing today, or yay, look at how far I've come. And so celebration is a big part of that. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. Yeah,
Thank
and
you, Liz.
you're welcome. And it is like we get to celebrate those tiny things because it fills us up with joy. And every day we
Yeah.
get to be joyful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Woo! Amazing. Okay, so again, thinking back to your own personal self-care, what is your kind of most joyful place that you get to go to? It can be real or imaginary.
Oh, my most joyful place. I don't know. I have two very joyful places. Um, I enjoy standing outside in the sun. I just love standing outside in the sun, um, barefoot in the grass, early in the morning, or even some in the middle of the day when I'm feeling stressed and whatever. I just walk outside and just stand in the sun. I love that feeling of, calm and stillness that comes over me. And the other thing that gives me joy is doing something that I love. So I love sitting around. I told you we have a bunch of puzzles, and a lot of crayons and coloring devices, and just sitting with my kids and coloring and painting and creating. Um, yeah, those two things they're just my happiest places to be. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, and as you were speaking, I could feel you filling up with joy just remembering them, just recalling
Yeah,
them.
yeah. And I'm looking, that's the thing is I want more of those moments, right? So it's so easy to not do those things. So the other day I was organizing and I cleaned out my space with all these crayons and whatever, and I'm embarrassed to say that I have boxes of paint and markers and whatever, and I have so much, and we hardly use them because mommy has to work, or mommy has to get on this call, or something along those lines. But what's happened lately is my daughter, the toddler who interrupted us earlier, she wakes up every morning now, and right away she says, mommy, come play with me. And before I would be, resistant and say, I have to go fix breakfast, or I have to do, whatever. So, but lately I've said, okay, I'm gonna indulge, but I only have 10 minutes. And so I sit on the rug with her and we play with dolls or magnets or whatever it is. And it makes such a difference. My day is better. They are getting quality time with their mom. And it takes care of myself because that's part of my soul, and so those are things that I'm being intentional about, including more play in my day. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, joy and play. They're beautiful places, for people
Yeah.
to begin with their self-care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you were going to give someone a piece of advice, they very, very first coming to self-care, what would you suggest they do first of all?
Hmm. The first thing I would suggest they do is find time alone to think about what self-care looks like for them. So for each of us, that's different, right? So that person has to decide what makes them happy or what would they like to try, because part of what happens with moms and, business owner or chronically ill people is you get caught in the survival cycle. And so over time, you don't know what you like anymore, or you don't do the things that you think you like. So you might not even be clear on what would be interested or interesting to you, because you've not done any such thing in so long. So find the time, prioritize, put on your calendar and say, I'm going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes today or every day. And that might be too much of a commitment. Say every other day, 10 minutes, and just figure out if I like this thing. I read a book recently. I feel like it's called 21. It's like 21-day challenges about, various things. I don't remember the name of the book or the author, but that was such a great idea. Right. So you can just pick one thing and say, I'm gonna read every day for 10 minutes. I'm gonna, take a walk every day for 10 minutes or every other day for 10 minutes. I'm gonna choose to eat a meal without being on my phone or watching TV today. That's self-care too, right? Just being
Yeah.
mindful of what you're putting in your body and feeling that food giving you energy or not. That's self-care. So it just depends on where they are. And so I would say the very first thing is just to stop um, and listen to yourself and say, what's the first thing? And don't listen to the noise, because the people on the interwebs will always say, you need to eat more veggies, or you need to walk, or you need to go lift weights, or you need to go to the gym, you need to do all these things. But what is it that your body is telling you that it needs right now? Because that's what self-care is, taking care of yourself right now. If your child, I use a lot of child analogies because I have so many children, but if my daughter came in here saying that she were hungry, um, I would choose to fix her a meal. I wouldn't say, oh, you're hungry, let's go take a bath. That would not, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't reconcile her need for food. So it's the same thing inside of our bodies. Your body is saying it needs rest. And rather than giving it rest, you figure the expert says you need to be at the gym first thing in the morning. So you get up at 5 and you sacrifice your sleep and you go to the gym, you're drinking loads of coffee to, get fit or whatever. So you have to just listen to what your body is saying it needs, what your soul is saying it needs, and then give it that thing. And start small. Don't be a zealot and say you're going to do this thing every day and you're going to do an hour's worth. It's not going to happen. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. Just, start small, commit to morsel size pieces of transformation. And over time, the change will come.
Ooh, that's amazing. Thank you so, so much. I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for you sharing some of your wisdom and sharing your time with us here.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so good to be here.
Woo! Amazing. Yeah, thank you.
This lady I told you, didn't I? I warned you. I said she does not know how to give up. Yeah. So
It's family and we love them. God bless them.
yes, right. And thankfully I love mine. So
Thank you.
awesome.